becomes very, very real in your life. I thought about him every day. I meditated on his life every day, and he became my best friend. And so that's kind of the background of where my devotion to Rosary and to listening to Mary came from. So when I heard that Mary was coming back, I was a single mom. My husband had abandoned us. I had 2 little boys, 3 weeks old and 2 years old. And again, God was my best friend. Turned to him, heartbroken beyond measure. I never imagined that I was going to not have a beautiful Catholic family that was whole. I was going to be raising kids that wouldn't have a dad in a broken home. But I just turned to God again, turned to him in prayer, and he turned everything to good. He always does. And he showed me that he wasn't only my best friend, he was the lover of my soul. He was my spouse. That I didn't have to have a spouse in this world, that he would be my spouse and he would be the father of my children. So when I heard at this time that Mary was coming again to Medjugorje, it's like, wow, I could go see her, but I didn't have anything. I had no money. And I heard Mother Angelica on TV say, if Mary really wants you to go, just pray, because God has no limits. So I said, I really want to go, Mary, but it's up to you. I'm a mom. I have little boys. I don't know how. And within 2 weeks, I got a check in the mail that was exactly what I needed to go on pilgrimage. So that was my first pilgrimage to Medjugorje. It was in 1991. I didn't go back for 20 years. I went on the 30th anniversary. And then I went again in 2017. This time, eventually I did get married again in the church. And a girl who was a fruit of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And we went, the 3 of us, on pilgrimage. I wanted to go celebrate Our Lady's 100th anniversary in Fatima. So we had planned a trip to Fatima, to Rome, and to Medjugorje. It's the first time my husband ever wanted to go on pilgrimage with me. And about a month before we were going to leave, he had a surgery that was supposed to be simple in and out hernia repair. It turned into a nightmare. Got completely infected. And he was literally on the point of death every single day. Once her mesh gets infected, it's impossible really to get out. So we decided to go in faith on these pilgrimages. He was, like I said, deathly ill. And when we were in Medjugorje, I would go to daily mass. And while I was there, I was praying in thanksgiving after communion, and our Blessed Mother came to me. And she came to me crying. And I knew she was crying for her priests. She was crying for her sons, the way I cried for my sons. It was like a sorrowful mother to a sorrowful mother. And again, it just pierced my heart. I just wept deeply with her. And I knew that she was calling me to bring priests to her. She was crying for her priests who were so far away, who wanted nothing to do with her, who disparaged her, who ignored her. She was crying for her priests who were so far from God. And she was praying in thanksgiving for all the priests who were holy and wonderful and beloved. She pointed out a priest to me on the altar. He was past 70, he couldn't walk anymore, but he was going back to Medjugorje every single year in Thanksgiving because he had experienced the love of God through Mary. So he couldn't walk, he was exhausted, but he came anyway. When Mary touches a priest's heart, something incredible happens to them, and they become transformed, and they're incredible instruments of God's love. So a lot had to happen because we were literally fighting for my husband's life. I knew that if this was really of God, it wouldn't go away, even though I couldn't do much about it at this time. I just kept praying. And it was years later, the pandemic, COVID hit in the meantime. But eventually, Mary told me in prayer that I was going to bring priests on pilgrimage and that I would bring them for free. And I would bring as many as possible without limit, because God is a God of abundance and there's no limit in him. All I had to do was trust and believe. She gave me a vision of the Israelites in the promised land, or in the desert. And she gave me an understanding that Medjugorje is like the promised land of today. It's a great, amazing gift, but there's so much fear and so many lies going on about Medjugorje. There's so many evil reports about Medjugorje. So many people are scared to go, and they won't enter into that promised land. And so they wander in the desert for 40 years instead of going into where God is calling them to go. And so she said, you stand fast. You don't believe any evil reports. Even when they say there's no way you'll take a pilgrimage, you will. I will take you and I'll lead you on pilgrimage. And so that has been just 13 pilgrimages ago, just 2 years. I've been doing active pilgrimages. I've been blessed to take 58 priests so far from all over the world, 3 from India, 3 from Trinidad, from Denmark, from Cameroon, from Australia, from Nigeria, from Canada, from all over the United States. God is doing amazing things. Mariana told us that Mary revealed to her that between the time we're living in now and the time of the triumph of the Immaculate Heart, there's only one way to get there, and it's through a bridge that is formed by holy and strong priests. And that is how we're going to make it to this triumph that Mary has promised us. So it's so important. Without priests, without strong and holy priests, we wouldn't have the sacraments. We wouldn't have the means that we have to live our lives in this darkness, in this evil times. We have this amazing gift of our church and of our sacraments. And we have this amazing gift of holy and strong priests, especially those who have gone to Medjugorje. There's a difference in priests who love Our Lady and who have been touched by her. She forms them in a special, incredible way, as you've seen with Father John. Father John came, and he has just been transformed from coming. And it's Our Lady's gift, it's Our Lady's will to transform her priest. So my apostolate is called the Apostolate of Priestly Consecration. She's asked me to bring not only priests but laity, and to bring, again, as many souls as I can. So if you could please pray for us. It's amazing what God is doing. And she has just recently told me that I am called to bring 1,000 priests. So I need all the prayers that I can get. And if you're interested in, I'll have some cards in the back somehow for you to come on pilgrimage with me. If you have a priest in mind, if you want to come, just stay in touch and we'll see what God does. The reason I'm here, though, is Mary said during COVID, she said, just start looking online and start listening to priests who have been transformed by me. One of the priests that I heard online was Father John Anthony, who we just heard. And his story touched me so deeply. I felt in prayer, Mary said, reach out to him. He's going to be important to this apostolate. And I was listening to his conversion story. He came to Medjugorje as a Protestant. He was going into med school. He was engaged. And he gave Mary a blank check once he was in Medjugorje. He said, I will do whatever you want to do. I will even be a friar. I don't know what they are, but I'll even be a friar. And now he is the superior general of the friary. And so I reached out to him, especially because there was a homily that he had said in Medjugorje. And it was kind of what he just told us. He said, you come to Medjugorje not just to feel good. You come because Our Lady is the greatest general of all times. And what she is doing is she is touching souls throughout the world. And she's giving each one of you marching orders. And so that's what I felt. I felt Mary was giving me marching orders. And I reached out to him, and he's been an amazing mentor. He's come as a spiritual director, and he put me in touch with Father John, or John in touch with me. So anyway, God bless you.